There is a right weight for every individual. Only you can decide what that weight should be for your body. Likewise, how to reach and maintain your correct weight is up to you. One way is to add calories to your exercise and diet regimen. Why? Because calories is a clinically tested, naturally sourced, stimulant-free dietary supplement that can give you the edge in managing your weight. 10 years of research has shown calories' superior fat-binding properties can reduce up to 500 calories a day from the fat in foods you eat. 2 calories tablets taken with any meal containing fats will absorb and eliminate up to 9 times their weight in fat without side effects. Calories needs no prescription and is available at your local GNC, Walgreens, and soon CVS store or online at calories.com. That's CALOREASE.com. This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
We are all about women getting real. Total women's wellness. Get real with Delayna. Get it right. You will be a strong, independent woman in society today. You can't afford to forget about doing what you do. You need to get your mind, your spirit, and your body right. Because we are the superheroes of today. Changing the world.
Hello, and welcome to Total Woman Wellness Show. I am Delayna K. Watkins, and let me just tell you, it has been an interesting morning, but nonetheless, I am so grateful to be here in the midst of Women's History Month because we have a wonderful show lined up for you today. We are going to be talking about how to create a future with our mentorship. How wonderful is that, to know that you can build a future, or history rather, with our future, and that is our children and those younger than us. So we're going to be talking with Cassandra Ferguson of Diamonds and Pearls Unlimited. So I'm going to bring her onto the show here shortly. In the meantime, you know I've got some good stuff to share with you. First of all, this is the week for the announcement of who the Shero is. That's right. We have been doing the Shero contest with our MWHY host, Joan Henry, on Saturday at 2 p.m. It is a collaboration between my show and her show, and we were giving out clues and having you tune in for the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to share my number 2 clue a little later on in the show. And then you're going to tune in on Saturday at 2 p.m. to Joan Henry, where the announcement will be made as to who the Shero is. And then hopefully you will be able to identify that person and then win all the perks of being a part of the contest. And part of it includes you having a commercial on our show, on our network. How awesome is that for Women's History Month? So I'm excited about that, and I'll be excited to share the second clue for the Shero contest. Also, we've got a couple of great events coming up that we are participating in. Total Woman Wellness will be at the 5th annual Let's Get Serious Health and Wellness Expo with another of our May We Help You radio hosts, and that is Cherie Cofield. That takes place right here in the DMV on April the 4th. For more information about that, check out Let's Get Serious 2015.eventbrite.com. It is a family affair. So this is something that, ladies, you can bring out your spouses and your children and just have fun. There's something for everyone there at the Let's Get Serious Health and Wellness and Fitness Expo, because there's a lot of demos. There's things that I've learned there at the Health Let's Get Serious Health Expo of different types of fitness formats that are demonstrated there with the instructors, which I absolutely love. So, again, and it's from the little teeny ones. There's a kids zone there where they have activities and fitness things going on for the children. And so make sure you check out the Let's Get Serious Health, Wellness, and Fitness Expo. Then we also have, and you guys just don't know, my excitement is building, not only because this is a stiletto-related event, but just because of the fact that I just love when women come together. And this Stiletto Women Business Owner Symposium, where we're going into the boardroom, is just going to be simply awesome. I can't even begin to put it into words. The visionary behind this symposium and I had a conference call 3 days ago, and it is truly still in my spirit, with Kim Harris and just her vision behind bringing this tour here to our nation's capital. So, again, I really, truly invite you to get behind this mission and make yourself a part of it because, again, even if you aren't able to attend, she has opened it up to where she's giving away 15 scholarships to young girls and women. So how great is that for the fact that we're talking about mentoring? She's opened it up for the Step Up to Inspire campaign, where we're wanting to bring in 15 young girls and women to participate in this event so that they will know what it's like to be in the boardroom, so that they can learn how to learn, connect, and grow whatever their vision is. Some of them may not even know what they have for a vision until we allow them to see and to dig deeper and give them the tools and strategies that they need. So that's why this event is so important to me, because it's more than just women getting together. Again, it's about helping us to create history with our future. So for more information on that, go to stiletto.eventbrite.com, and you can put in the Her Life, HERLIFE, and you will receive a 40% discount. Or you can just simply contribute again for the Step Up to Inspire campaign, and there's information on there too about the Indiegogo campaign. So even if you don't want to attend, you can make it possible so that another young woman or young girl will be able to attend that. So I'm excited about that. And then lastly, the Winners Summit. And this is the 4th annual Winners Summit. I just love being surrounded by greatness. And the visionary behind this particular event is Deborah Hardnett. Deborah Hardnett is a true entrepreneur, businesswoman at heart. Simply love her. And this event is going to be held in the Virginia area. For more information on that, go to thewinnerssummit.com. You can also look at their page on Facebook. She is all over because she is the founder of the Wealthy Sisters Media Group and the Wealthy Sisters Radio. So, again, look out for those are my top 3 events as they're happening within the next 30 days or so, and I do believe that you will find that in some way, shape, or form, participating in those events will definitely impact and empower you. So without further ado, I want to get ready to bring on to my show the guest for today, Miss Cassandra Ferguson. Let me just tell you who we're going to be hearing from today. Cassandra is described by many as being passionate, bold, exciting, courageous, purpose-driven, and loving. I love it. She has been married to her husband, Antonio Ferguson Sr., for 25 years. We ought to just give her kudos for that. She is the mother of 4 children. And listen to this. I love how she describes her children. Now you're going to see why she's such a great mentor. Sean Trey, who's 25, the fashion expert. Shanika, 23, the teacher. Tony, 21, the businessman. And Antoine, 19, the athletic. Cassandra often encourages her children to develop in their gifts and live out what they love to do. She is not only called on to teach adults of all ages, but teens and young girls. She just simply loves sharing information. And she is the proud owner and founder of Diamonds and Pearls Unlimited, a nonprofit organization that helps develop young ladies from the ages of 13 to 25 into the leaders of today. And that's why we have her joining us today on the Total Woman Wellness Show. Hi there, and welcome to the show, Cassandra.
Wow, thank you. What an introduction. And I tell you all that
Yes, ma'am.
nuggets and wisdom you pulled out before, I tell you that is wonderful in what you're doing to empower, I would say, not even women or girls, but the world. And I thank you for that.
Yes. Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I was reading over your bio. I always try to make sure I get to know my guests so it'll seem like they're family before I even introduce them to my audience. And I was reading your bio and saw how you described your children. I thought, oh, yes, now I see why she is such a great, great job at being a mentor and being able to mentor. So it starts at home, and it obviously seems like you've done a fantastic job with that. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Now, of course, I always have my guests start out by telling the audience a little bit about your journey and then how you became passionate about your mission. This helps us to kind of lay the foundation, the groundwork before we get into the real crust of it.
Okay. I often tell a story about a little girl that kind of had her life already, how you picture this perfect life. And in this life, there was a perfect mom and dad. There was, the perfect house, the perfect career. Then all of a sudden life happens. The mom and dad splits up. The father becoming an abuser to the mother. And the little girl now finds herself in survival mode because of the past that she has gone through and the experience she has gone through with her parents. And then what she finds herself doing is losing focus of her purpose, her design, and also losing that the fact that she was valuable, and almost thinking that, okay, this is how life is going to be, this is how life should be, and basically begin to do the same, take the same traits, or the negative traits, and begin to bring it into her marriage. And at that point, thought that, this is it. I'm going to end up divorcing anyway in 10 years. This is just how this is going to be because this is what I've seen as a young girl. So that young lady began to find herself, find her purpose, because also at some point in that journey, she contemplated suicide because one thing that she cried out was, why am I here? I have no purpose. Why, what use am I? And, just before she was about to do that, all of a sudden the TV is on, and there's a woman speaking, and that woman was Joyce Myers. And she's quoting the scripture, I was seeking deep in sin, far from the peaceful shore. Then the master of the sea heard my despairing cry, and he rescued me. So at that point, that young lady began to cry out. She began to just pray and ask, what is my purpose? Why am I here? What is my design? So that young lady was me. So that made me see that I not only was designed and I had an assignment to help develop people and help them get into their purpose, but I had to go through all of that to call out to God and ask him what was my purpose, and then he showed me my purpose, and now it's my assignment to help other people to develop in their purpose, in their design, to let them feel comfortable in their skin, to let them know that just because this happened in your life does not mean that that also is going to be the end or your story. It's just a part of your story. So that's how I ended up having a passion to develop. Not only young ladies, of course, I have sons, but that's how I ended up with the passion to do that. And so happened, I began to surround myself around women that also had that passion to develop young women. And through meetings, monthly meetings, and getting together, we began to call ourselves, the young girls began to call themselves diamonds, and we called ourselves pearls because we looked at ourselves as pearls of wisdom. So through that, we made sure we had an environment that was comfortable for the young ladies so they can begin to talk to us about things that they don't normally talk to people about. So it has to be an environment that did not have any judgment, but was an environment of freedom. So these young women can come out and they can tell us, and we can come alongside of them, and we can nurture them and develop them, cultivate them to become the women that God designed them to be. So that's how it all came about.
I love it. And, I always, as I'm listening to, and that's the whole point of me kind of having you share, the journey and how you became passionate, because it really leads into where you are, your journey. And so I wrote down a few things as you were talking, and part of it is that you talked about not wanting to really be, or having the mindset of being a product of your product or environment, where you saw, that divorce and feelings of loss of self-worth, not really having any direction. So that was, as you were describing it, what kind of helped to kickstart, if you will, your journey, or at least some into your journey. And it wasn't until you asked questions when you got to a point of potentially, becoming suicidal, that you then said, okay, why am I here? What is my purpose? Which are two very, very poignant and important questions. And then, lo and behold, like you said, there was some positivity being spoken into your ears through listening to Joyce Myers. So that, when you think of that, although, of course, naturally you're not thinking of, okay, Joyce Meyer is someone who's a mentor, but you knew at that time that you needed some type of intervention, and it just so happened for you it came through, that way. It came from having someone of positivity and having positive words to say coming through Joyce Meyer. And so that leads me to the point of what you just started, and then what we're going to go in and discuss further in the show is about being that positive mouthpiece, being that positive voice, and then providing mentorship, which is more than just talk as well. It's with action. So let's talk a little bit about the importance of mentorship before we even talk about the good stuff about what mentoring does and what we've seen happen and things of that nature. Let's talk about what the importance of mentorship is, because I think some people really have a misconception of what mentorship is. And don't get me wrong, mentorship takes place in a couple of different ways. And again, we'll talk more about that and what it means, because mentorship can happen both in a community type setting, Cassandra, which you're going to share about, as well as, even on your job, even in a skill set type of environment. It can also happen in, let's say, even in athletics. If you're great at what you do in athletics, one of your sons, as you mentioned, Antoine, the athlete, he could be a very good athlete, and then he could mentor someone in that capacity. So mentoring doesn't necessarily have to take place because someone's broken and needs to be mentored to be fixed. And so that's what I want to make clear, and that's what we're going to talk about, so that people that maybe never explored the idea or the thought of mentorship will now look at it differently and will become interested in being a mentor. So tell us a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about the importance of mentorship.
Okay. Now, I always often say this. You never know what point you enter a person's life. And why you were sent there, why you were sent there. So if you constantly have in your mind that whoever I meet, I'm going to add value to them, I'm going to make them feel worthy, and you are correct. Mentorship is not some, it's not just some set program. It's not. It should be a part of your life. It should be a part of you. You should always want to add value to someone, and always want people to be better than what they are. They excel at what they're doing. So that's a part of encouraging people. Not because some people, like I said, you don't know what they had gone through in life. You don't know, first of all, you don't know in the beginning why you two connected. So if I'm going to be a part of anyone's life, let me be an asset. Let me be somebody that adds to them and not subtract from them. So that's, to me, mentorship is just a part of you. You have to be a person, and I had to go through that, what I went through, because I had to be at a point where I was broken, that I can now allow myself to be used to a point where I'm not allowing the hurt I went through to damage anyone else, but I'm allowing the fact that I was able to hear some words that changed my life through a person. The same with mentorship. You have to allow yourself to be a vessel, a vehicle, and you have to allow your life, because it's not even words, but people watch you, and people watch you from afar. People watch what you say. People watch what you do. People watch to see if you're consistent. People just watch you. You are constantly on display, especially if you are in a leadership position. And being in a leadership position can be, if you're a teacher, it can be whether you are a supervisor. It can be whether you're the oldest sibling. It can be whether you put yourself as this businesswoman that say that you help other women to grow their business. Whatever it is, now you are on open display. And so if you're constantly on open display, then that means you got to constantly check yourself, because, again, you cannot take anybody somewhere that you have not been yourself. And people want realness. People want people in their lives that are going to tell them the truth, but at the same time tell them the truth seasoned with love. There are times when you do have to be firm.
Absolutely.
There are times when you do have to be firm, but at the same time, when you let's say if you have to come to someone and to correct them, let that correction not leave them scarred, if you understand what I mean. So
right, and that's the importance of understanding how to mentor. Right. Because it's how you impart that information, whether it's going to be received, in an effective way where you get the outcome that you're desiring, or you deliver your mentorship or the information in such a way that it's not received well. And so it's not, then the outcome that you're looking for isn't obtained, because, like you say, you can kind of give a firm lashing with and pepper it with, a little bit of kindness at the same time to show that this is the outcome that you're hoping to achieve. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So before we go to commercial break, I just want to say that there was something that you mentioned at the very beginning when I asked you about the importance of mentorship, and that was mentorship should be a part of your life. I absolutely love that statement, because even for myself, I know that I was being let me retract that. I have been providing mentorship without knowing that that's what I was doing. And so it wasn't until I got older and wiser, the pearls of the wisdom, that I looked back and realized that I was mentoring people, because I entered my field at a very young age and felt that I needed mentoring and didn't quite receive it. I mean, I received some orientation, if you will, to the field, but not necessarily a lot of mentoring until I got a little older. So having done that, I think it was sort of just an automatic thing, because, you feel a need when you see it, and not even realizing that I was doing it. I was providing mentorship to young nurses as they were coming out of school, because I didn't receive it at the young age that I was when I came out. It was just, this is how you do this, and try not to do this to avoid making that mistake. That was like the extent of the mentoring that I received. Right. And so I just guess I made the subconscious decision that if I'm ever put in a position where I'm put in charge of, or I'm working with someone who doesn't have the skill set or the knowledge early on, that this is what I'm going to do for them. Now looking back at it, I realized that was considered, some mentorship, but at the time, it wasn't something that I said, I'm a mentor for this person, or I've done that as mentorship. So I think going forward, if we all as individuals think of mentorship being a part of our life, then it is something that we will automatically do without it being given a title. Right. Okay, because you have the skill set to do so. So that's good stuff. And we ain't even halfway through the show yet. All right. Well, for our first commercial break, Cassandra, I'm going to have you stay tuned. And then we are going to come back from commercial break And I have been given permission. I want you all to know you guys are getting some good stuff today, and you're going to get goodness even more so, because my producer has said that I can even share the other clues that were given. So it should really make it easy for you to participate in this Shiro contest. So when I come back from commercial break, I'm going to actually give you a couple clues about who our Shiro is. And then we will be making the announcement on Joan Henry Show on Saturday at 2 p.m. So lucky you. So stay tuned on when we come back from the commercial break. The Physically Fit commercial break is going to be wall push-ups times 2. You simply just stand in front of the wall, feet shoulder width apart, and then you just lean forward and push back. And you're going to do that 10 times for 2 sets. So a total of 20. Physically Fit commercial break number 1, wall push-ups times 10 for 2 sets. And I'll see you back here in a moment.
Hello, I'm Sherelle of Fit and Flow Yoga Radio. Wake up with me every Friday at 6 a.m. and have a wonderful yoga experience. We'll explore meditation and discuss how various yoga postures can help relieve your everyday stress. We'll also make the connection between our faith and wellness. Follow us on Spreaker.com to tune into the show. That's Spreaker, SPREAKER.com. And also search MWHY Radio to join me every Friday at 6 a.m. for Fit and Flow Yoga Radio with Sherelle. And until next time, surrender to your strength and always embrace your flow.
Hi, this is Benita with Off the Vine. Join us on Fridays at 3 o'clock for Fun Talk About Wine. This season, I'm going to put this little sommelier certification to work as we expand the conversation to talk about beer and spirits too. Meet more exciting special guests, and you never know just who may show up at the studio. Off the Vine with Benita on the May We Help You Radio Network, giving you something to whine about.
Hey, this is Coffee Black, coming through to bring you the latest in sports, celebrity, and entertainment news. Here's the tip this week. So, baby daddy Chris Brown refuses to comment on this baby scandal. The baby mama's ex-husband and other possible father are saying enough for everyone. Moving on. Oprah Winfrey has closed down Harpo Studios in Chicago. She laid off 200-some employees that couldn't make the move to Los Angeles to the own studios. But ain't nothing wrong with consolidating. Marshawn Lynch signed a 3-year, $31 million contract with the Seahawks. But I wonder how much of that will actually go to future funds. Lastly, it looks like Nick Gordon is in rehab. Who that? You know, Bobby Christina's brother/husband. Well, he went on Dr. Phil and rehab from there. I'm happy he went, but the timing reeks of exploitation. I'm just saying. Check out my site, thesipwithcoffeeblack.com, and tune in next week to The Sip with Coffee Black. No sugar, no cream.
Hey, Chef Jovi here of the Eatsperience Radio Show. Join me 10 a.m. every Thursday to explore recipes, best restaurants, and food spots in and around the country. I look forward to receiving your comments, so follow us on Spreaker.com to tune into the show. That's SPREAKER.com. And search MWHY Radio to join me every Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Eatsperience Radio Show. And remember to share your Eatsperience.
All right, welcome back to the Total Woman Wellness Show. I am your host, Delayna K. Watkins, and we are just having a fabulous time here talking about mentorship, creating a history with our future. That's right, being a mentor. So our special guest today is Cassandra Ferguson, and I'm going to bring her back onto the show here shortly. But first, I want to know what you think about being a mentor. If you are listening to the show and have a comment or a question, you can simply press 1. If you're listening to us online, you can add some content or question into the chat. And if you don't know how to do either, you can simply just call 646-652-2512 and press the number 1, and we will know that there is someone there wanting to chat with us. So, okay, before I went to commercial break, I said that I was going to be sharing with you a couple of clues about our Shiro. So The first one is she's a Baltimore grandmother who started on her path to a healthier lifestyle at the age of 56. She also runs at least 10 miles a day, has done 9 marathons, and won 2 bodybuilding contests. So that's one clue from me and then one clue that Joan shared. So there you go. You've got 2 hot and great clues to try to figure out who this shero is, okay? And then after the next commercial break, I will share 2 more. So that right there ought to get your wheels spinning. All right. So we're going to bring back on today's special guest, Miss Cassandra Ferguson. Cassandra, hey there.
Hello. This is exciting and good.
It is. All right,
okay.
Now let's talk more about you. So we know that we have you with the founder of Diamonds and Pearls. Let's switch focus on Diamonds and Pearls. Let's talk about what you guys do in regards to mentoring young girls. I know you talked about the environment that you set up for them. So take us to one of your great events, or just paint a picture of us of what the environment looks like when you're doing your thing for Diamonds and Pearls.
Okay. And it ties into what you, the statements you made. Let's talk about how to cultivate the treasure in someone else. And, when I think of the word treasure, I think of values and something precious. So here we have this young lady that immediately we already have made her feel that she is valuable and she's precious. So now what our job is, now we need to also help her to identify that. And I always say there's 3 action points. You have to identify, you have to develop, and you have to expose. And exposure, that's when they get to that point where they are confidently walking in who they are and what they feel they are called to do. So but the toughest part is the identifying part. So that's why these atmospheres are set, that basically it has to be not just an atmosphere where you are talking, but it has to be an atmosphere where you are watching and you're listening, and then you're asking questions so you can make an assessment, and you can also get a feel for what their uniqueness is and what their giftedness and talents are. So, and that's when the development piece come in. Okay, now we're going to have something, because now we see where your, what your giftedness is. Now we're going to help to bend you where you are. So in bending that young lady where she is, you begin to, of course, pour into them. And here's where the training, the coaching, the mentoring comes, whether it's basically taking them to places they've never been, showing them people, connecting them with people that do that very thing that they're passionate about. That's the development. And then once the development is done, then, okay, now let's expose you to that. Let's expose you to that thing that you are so passionate about, because now your confidence is up. Now you feel like you are valued. Now you feel like you have a purpose. So let's begin to expose you. Let's put you out there. Cause them to create at that point. Cause them to, whether it's a business, cause them to, if they want to teach, cause them to develop a platform where we allow them to teach. Well, okay, if you are into finance, okay, now we can have you teach a finance class, whatever it is, but kind of as, the mentor, taking a back seat and letting that young lady come to the forefront. Because at that point, once they come to the forefront, there's some confidence there, and then they feel like they can, too, go to the next level.
I like that, and I was listening as you were talking. That's kind of how I like to be able to visualize what you're saying, and then see if the average listener could relate to that. And absolutely you could, because when you're talking about identifying, and that's why I said mentoring doesn't necessarily have to come from a place of, again, like what you do, and that's why I specifically wanted you to tell the audience what Diamonds and Pearls does. So when you listed the 3 steps, identifying, developing, exposing, you can do that to just about anything. You do that with your, like I said, it starts at home, with your own children.
Exactly.
So being able to kind of, to really wrap your brain around mentoring, identifying, developing, exposing, absolutely you can, because you want to see what interests them, what barriers they may have. And, again, sometimes helping to identify, I just find that oftentimes they haven't even sat down long enough with the idea or even been made to dig deep to find out the why am I here, what is my purpose kind of thing. They've never been asked it in that kind of context. You know, sometimes the only way we find out is, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
So sometimes that's the one thing that kind of starts the discussion is, what do you want to be when you grow up? And sometimes they're exposed to that in elementary school. But,
right.
you know, again, is it visited later on? What have they seen, been exposed to? What have they been told? What have they learned that is identifying where they are right now? So I really like the identify, develop, and expose. I really think that is an effective way to approach and to then carry out becoming a mentor, because you also then can use that to make sure that you are accurately pairing them with someone who can cultivate that, like what you talked about, cultivating it. So if you've identified a mentee who needs a mentor that has these certain sets of skills, you know, kind of behoove you then to pair them with someone who you know that can cultivate them in that area. Is that correct? Is that what helps you to identify? Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Okay.
Right. And then the identifying part, I think that's the most difficult part, because a lot of times children or young people feel that, you know, their parents already have a perception or an idea of what they want them to be.
Right.
And so they come not feeling comfortable enough to say what they want to be or what they're passionate about, because they have I would say they have, you know, geared their lives, or they have kind of got into their mind, well, this is what my parent says I should be, or whoever, you know, the older adult is in their life. And so that's when you really begin to see the level of the young person's basically, okay, are they coming here basically because their parents want them to be here, or because they want to be here? Are they doing something that their parents want them to do, or something they want to do? So that's why, you know, there's assessments and there's, you know, several things that, that I'm trained to do as far as on the emotional intelligence and as far as the assessments of their skills, their skill set, that you really have to sit down and try to get them to talk it out or try to pull it out of them, something that's already in them. So, you know, that's the most difficult stage, because, like you said, it starts at home, because I watched my children, you know, and that's why I was able to name what I saw them being bent or saw them leaning to do. Not based on what I did, not based on what their father did, but based on what their passions were.
Yes, absolutely. And that is so important, because, again, just really in any situation, not just being a mentee or the mentor, being there will ultimately determine how much of it you embrace and how engaged you will become. So really trying to identify, why are they there? Were they, like you said, directed to come there by their parent, or are they there at their own, you know, kind of not necessarily free will, but their own interest, if you will.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that'll determine, because sometimes I find that you have to work a little bit harder if they're not there by their own decision. Sometimes you have to work a little bit harder to get them to know the reason why they're there, and then what's really in it for them. So,
right.
All right. So, yeah, that's good stuff. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about, before we go to the next commercial break, what the greatest of need for mentoring is. And I had kind of just written down bullying, low self-esteem. You know, what is it that you're seeing, that you're finding during that identifying and uncovering phase that there's more focus on for mentoring? And, again, these are just some that kind of popped up in my head for that age group. You know, again, as we started out before, saying that mentorship doesn't necessarily just have to come from a place of brokenness. Like, these people don't necessarily have to, you know, need that. But I just kind of jotted that down. So what are some of the greatest areas of need for mentoring that you're being exposed to.
And you know what? That the reason that age group was actually the 13 to 25-year-old age group was strategically picked because if you think about it, that is the age that they try to find themselves or they're trying to develop into themselves. So the greatest need is to actually help the young person basically identify who they are. Help them, to recognize those things that they would do without getting paid, those things that they do naturally, those things that, when they hear about it, it's so exciting to them. So I would say the identifying stage, and again, and once they identify who they are, then they can be compelled to do anything because now, they're going to feel, again, the confidence is going to come, and you're going to constantly, reiterate how great they are and how great they can be and where they can go. But I think the greatest need is helping people to learn to identify, their talents and their gifts because people do not sit down because a lot of times when a child comes to a parent and says, this is one of the things, we had to learn in emotional intelligence classes. If your child was to come to you and say, I got something exciting for you, I got something exciting to happen to me today, and you're working on a computer or you're working on a project, would you tell a child, I can't talk to you right now? Or would you say, would you just turn around, give them eye contact, and ask them, what is it that you have to talk to me about? Because you never know when you may miss that moment.
That is so important.
Yeah, that is so important. So I think that identifying, that uniqueness in them and that giftedness in them is the most needed. Because from there, think about it, from there that builds the foundation or the platform for you to add other things. Once they know where they're going, then you can add to where they're going.
Right. And the other thing, too, just I was looking at the connection that I have written down when you said recognize who they are, it also would soften or help to not necessarily, I never like to use the word victim, but I think that it will help them to deal with the issues of bullying and low self-esteem, low self-worth, and those type of things when they recognize who they are. Because a lot of that, really is a direct relation back to that. So I think you're absolutely right there, Cassandra, when you talk about recognizing who they are, because it does help to bolster then their ability to deal with those issues of bullying and low self-esteem, et cetera. So absolutely, I like that. I like how that kind of ties in. So one other thing I want to talk about real quick is there's three things. When I talked about mentorship, and I just kind of jotted this down on the side too, how I said that even, I was mentoring before I really knew that that's what it was, that there are three things, and we can go into them when we come back from the commercial break, is that I like to share with people when they don't think of themselves as being a mentor or don't think that they could add value, and even just your life experience in and of itself can be valuable to a young person. Again, just kind of having that wisdom, giving them a path or a direction. So absolutely, we all, everyone listening to this show has the capability and the skill set to add value and be a mentor. But there are three things that I always like to tell people that you can do when you're looking at mentorship, and that is your time, your talent, or your treasure. And that can amount to a couple of different things. Your talent is whatever, again, your life experience has brought you, whatever your skill set is. Your time, obviously, is going to be, that which you can give, even if it's just 2 hours a week, 1 hour a day, 30 minutes, here or there, whatever you can do to lend to a mentorship, even if it's just coming to speak to an already developed program to impact. And so someone sitting in that audience can see themselves in you. And then lastly, your treasure. Your treasure could simply be funds. Your treasure could be a resource. Your treasure could be whatever it is that will provide value and add value to that mentee or that mentee's program. So absolutely, everyone that is, listening to the show, I want you to commit to getting involved in mentorship in one form or fashion, whether it's through your time, talent, or treasure. And so with that being said, when we come back from commercial break, Cassandra, I want you to talk about if I were interested in mentoring, where would I start? And then what questions should I be asking myself as someone who's interested in mentoring? Now, I've given them the 3 things that they can do because, again, sometimes people say, I'm too busy, I can't, I don't want to commit to that. It seems like a lot. I've given you 3 ways that you can get involved. And so come back from commercial breaks, Cassandra's going to share with us where you could start and then what kind of questions you should be asking yourself. Okay? So for the next Physically Fit commercial break, we are going to do bench dips or chair dips. If you are sitting in a chair or if you are near a bench or a stool or anything like that, you're going to act as if you're going to sit on that particular thing and then put your palms on it and do dips down as far as you can go. You're going to do 2 sets of 10. So that's bench or chair dips, 2 sets of 10. And then when we come back from the commercial break, we're also going to be joined by Tiffany Mansfield, who is our nutrition correspondent. She will be joining us after the commercial break as well to share a tip with you for this week.
I'm Tanya Free. This week marks 50 years since the March in Selma, Bloody Sunday, the police attacks on civil rights marchers at the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama, that led over time to the Voting Rights Act of 1965. While we have made progress, last week Department of Justice report on Ferguson in a poll that 4 in 10 Americans say that race relations have gotten worse under our first black president is a reminder that we have not come as far as many believe. Let's talk about it this Wednesday on the Tanya Free and Friends Talk Show and 24/7 on TanyaFree.com. Until next time, be free and remember to live life with a purpose.
The Tanya Free and Friends Talk Show, your destination for the best in social and political straight talk. Wednesdays at 2 p.m., streaming live on TanyaFree.com and BlackTalkRadioNetwork.com. Join the conversation Wednesdays at 2 p.m.
If you're the parent of a child with behavioral challenges that has been suspended, expelled, or just not able to make it in a traditional school setting, there is an alternative. Call the Metropolitan Day School today. Licensed and accredited grades K through 12. Call 804-321-2595. Financial assistance and after-school programs are available. Let's turn this school year around right now at the Metropolitan Day School where Eagles soar. Call Ms. Thomas today. 804-321-2595.
The Queen Esther Radio Show is live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me, Jessica Taylor,
and me, Jason Mosley, to be entertained by authors, artists, and spiritual leaders.
We look forward to being a blessing in your life every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Only on the MWHY Radio Network.
Hi, my name is Letitia M., owner of May We Help You Network. I want to thank you for joining us and enjoying our hosts here on MWHY Radio Network. Please visit us online at mwhyradio.com and like us on facebook.com/MWHY Radio. Tune in to learn more about our hosts and upcoming contests and our TV programming that will be coming to you soon. MWHY Radio, bringing together business, community, and you.
Hello and welcome back to the Total Woman Wellness Show. I am your host, Delayna K. Watkins, and we are talking about mentoring during this month of Women's anniversary. So that was your second Physically Fit commercial break. And if you noticed, they were the same as last week. Ha, ha, ha. Why? Because I purposely did the same 2 exercises because my point is I want you all to build up that upper body strength. Why? Because we have some shoulders that need to be strengthened for our future to be held on. We've got some ladies that need to stand on our shoulders. So I need for your upper body, your upper arms to be strong enough to support that. That's what it's all about, being strong enough to support our future and having the ladies stand on our shoulders, not literally but figuratively. So we're talking with Cassandra Ferguson, and we're also talking about mentorship. So I want you to join in on the discussion. If you're listening to us live, just dial 646-652-2512. Now, before I bring back on Cassandra for us to wrap it on up and her bring it home and tell you how you can be a mentor, I want to bring Tiffany Mansfield onto the show so she can give you your quick nutrition tips. Hey there, Miss Tiffany with Curvy Girl World. How are you?
I'm great today. I'm so excited listening in on mentoring.
Yay! Thank you,
man,
me too. It's been wonderful.
Some awesome stuff. I wanted to share a nutrition tip with you all today about sodium in our diet. As minority groups, we absolutely have to pay special attention to some concerns where we're at risk for higher rates of high blood pressure and heart disease, things of that nature. So one good way to impact our own personal health as well as set an example for our friends and family who are around us are by creating better eating habits in terms of taking daily consideration on how much salt we're consuming. So here's a couple of things that we can do while we're out in the grocery store. Absolutely pay attention to the labels. Take a look at the things that you're buying. Look for the additives. And a great rule of thumb is if you can't pronounce at least 5 things in the top 5 list, it's probably not something you should be putting in your cart. A lot of times salt are worked into things that we eat every day. So take considerations in the grocery store. Instead of opting for a can of beans, maybe look for a low sodium or a reduced sodium option. If we're looking for a broth or some sort of base, for a reduced sodium type of product instead. While we're at home in our kitchens, I know that last weekend we had a really nice day, so I took some time and I almost got a jump start on spring cleaning and went through my cabinet. I took a look at some of the seasonings that I had in the cabinet, and I said, wait a minute, these have salt added in already. Perhaps I should look for options that don't have any added salt. Even at home while I'm cooking, I make sure that I don't add any salt until after I've finished cooking my meal. After I've seen my vegetables, after I've already roasted my meats or fish, then I'll add salt to taste afterwards. And one last tip that I have while eating out, a great rule of thumb or trick to have is when you're ordering off the menu, and always ask for your sauces on the side. So that way you can just add as much as you need to taste. And that's one of my favorite tips.
Absolutely. Those were all great tips. I was sitting over here nodding my head and shaking my head saying absolutely yes. Right from the grocery store, looking at those different options. If you can't read more than 5 things on the label, go on, put it back on the shelf because you really don't need it. And then looking for low sodium options, and then having your condiments on the side. Perfect. So thank you so much, Tiffany Mansfield. You were so on point with that because as I was sharing last week, too, we had the Ask the Nurse segment question had something to do with hypertension and cardiac disease. Last month was Heart Health Awareness Month. So your nutrition is right on time. So I appreciate that. And thank you so much. Again, you always share great, valuable nutrition information here on the Total Woman Wellness Show. So I'd like for you to share with the listeners how they can get more of that goodness from Curvy Girl World.
Absolutely. Ladies, you can reach me on my website. It's curvygirlworld.org. Also, you can reach me on social media at Curvy Girl World. On Facebook, I'm Tiffany Mansfield. If you have any questions, and I even want to share really quick, I had last week a client, we were just talking and catching up on her progress, and this ties in completely to mentorship because she shared with me that her family, while they were out at a family gathering, her family noticed that she was using some of the tips that I just shared with you all, and they realized that how much her body's been changing, how well she's been feeling lately. And those little steps, people are watching, even when you don't think they are. So we're all mentors in our own right. Remember that.
Absolutely. See that? I love it. I love it. Thank you. And again, thank you for your tip. Thank you for sharing your lovely insight, as always, here on the show. I truly appreciate you.
Have a good one, ladies.
Thank you. All right, Miss Cassandra, you have had quite some time to come up with some goodness to share with the listeners about where they can get started. I think they've heard enough about truly what mentoring is and the fact that it's necessary and the fact that we can build history with our future. You know, when you think of history, you think of future, you're like, okay, how can the two of those things go together? They're both occurring, later on, but it's the truth. The future are our younger adults and young children, and then the history is what they will create based upon what we do with them right now. So tell us how we can get involved.
Well, I was listening to Tiffany and also some things that you have said, time, talent, and treasure. And I believe that, and just like you're mentoring right now, you have allowed me to come onto your show. I'm past the point, like I said, you never know what point you come into a person's life or what stage, where they are in life and what stage you need to help them to develop in. So I would look at this point in my life, the exposure. So you're allowing, this is precious to you, your show. This is your treasure. So you have allowed me to come onto your show. Tiffany was just giving some nuggets on some healthy, eating tips. So, again, that's her talent. So I think we need to just look at simplicity. A lot of times we look at, okay, oh, my God, I got to give up 5 days a week. I don't have time to give up. No, absolutely not. Look at what you have and look at what you're already doing. Hey, I'm mentoring. Okay, maybe I can do another little extra thing. Maybe I can, for the healthy tip, maybe Tiffany wants to talk to a coach of a football team. I got some healthy tips for your football team. Okay, I'm willing to come in once a week and talk to them about it. It's just different things that's, already been put in our path that we can do without looking at, making it so large. Because I believe that whatever you're called to do you should be able to do it naturally. It should be natural to you. It should just be a part of your life again. So just look at it. Just look at those things. And I like that, time, talent, and treasure. Use your time, use your talent, use your treasure, and also begin to look at some organizations, begin to look at some groups, begin to look at, it don't even have to be organizational groups. It could be the way we started. Okay, we saw a need for our daughters. So me and a group of women got together. We began to have events at each of our homes once a month. So it was going on at that time. Okay, now we want the daughters to be able to prepare a meal for their guests. When they have guests come over, show them hospitality, how they're supposed to be, hospitable. So it's different things that you can do. It's just basically, again, making it a part of your life that you won't get to the point where I got so much on my plate, there's nothing else I can do. I ain't no good to nobody. But if it's a part of your life, we were already, I'm already raising my children. That's just what I'm raising them. So why not make it a fun part, mentoring them, having their friends come over, having some fun activities, having a good group discussion that we know that the question will come up to them in life, but giving them some sound wisdom that when it does come up, they will know the truth. So just that simple, just looking at what we already have in place and expanding on it. That's all.
That's great, and I love that. And again, I'm going to close out with saying two things that you said because I want to leave. I always like to leave it on such a note that, again, the listeners can see themselves either changing that particular behavior or, in this case, getting involved in acting. So I always try to leave with some action items, and that is, again, we talked about the three things, the time, talent, and treasure. And then if you look at mentorship as a part of your life, then you won't see it as something extra that you're doing. And then simplicity. So those two things go hand in hand because I think sometimes we make things, seem to be more cumbersome than what they really are, and we go by what we thought the definition of mentorship was or what we think mentorship looks like. So I think what you said, making it part of your life and then simplifying it, making it simple, simplicity. And then looking at your time, talent, or treasure. You may not be able to go into the classroom. You may not be able to be, on-site mentor, but, sharing your talent in someone's classroom who already has a mentor program set up where they invite you to come in and speak and share, or, again, sharing your treasure, which may be monetary or it may be resourceful or whatever. We all can add value in one of those three ways. So I encourage you, I almost charge you with taking action to make that part of something that you do this month for Women's History Month is to look into becoming a mentor. So it has been my pleasure, Cassandra, to have you as a special guest on today's Total Woman Wellness Show. And before I let you go, I would like for you to share about where our listeners can find out more information if they're interested in the Diamonds and Pearls Unlimited organization, and just about what else you do, because that's not all you do, but just about, being able to follow you and to see what other great things you're doing.
Okay. Well, I do have a website, CassandraFerguson.com, that is, there's information there. It's being developed as well as the Diamonds and Pearls, but you can also friend me on Facebook. You can also follow me on Twitter, CassFerg, or on IG. I say IG. That's the way the young people say IG. Cass Trendsetter. So either, I'm always trying to give nuggets. My dream is to one day have a leadership academy. So I study a lot on leadership. I study a lot on learning people's gifts. So there are nuggets I will put there on leadership, well as how to identify certain actions or things that people do. I am always willing to lend a help in areas that anyone may need me. So I came from the corporate world for a little bit. I was a prior mortgage company owner, and then the market took a shift and went back to the corporate world, and here I am back to my freedom place.
Right, back to your natural calling. Wonderful.
Yeah. So here I am,
Good.
And that happens sometimes. So I just want to encourage everyone.
Along.
Right.
Yep.
And again, thank you so much for having me on your show. I do appreciate you.
It was a pleasure. Yes, it was a pleasure, and it's been really good. It has been a really, really great show, and I know that the listeners got something out of it because, again, I don't think that oftentimes when you think of mentoring, I think that we uncovered a lot of misnomers about, mentoring, and then I'm sure, someone listening can see themselves in one way, shape, or form becoming involved in mentoring. At least that is my hope. That was my goal, and certainly I think that together we conveyed that message. So, again, thank you so much, Cassandra Ferguson, founder of Diamonds and Pearls Unlimited. So next week on the Total Woman Wellness Show, we're going to have Letitia Nicole. She is the founder of Speak Life. She's going to be our special guest next week, so make sure you're tuned in here next Wednesday at 12 noon for that. And also at that time, we will have the winner of the She-Lo contest will be announced. So again, if you've heard the clues, you can tune in on Saturday at 2 p.m. to the Joan Henry Show for the conclusion of the She-Lo contest. Thank you all for tuning in. It has always been my pleasure of giving you an experience of total wellness. So I'll see you back here again on Wednesday at 12 noon. Until then, have a healthy week.